silence.
Sports.
Von Allen Sports on Patreon. Fuck you. I'm joining.
Von Allen Sports.
If you're not watching Von Allen Sports, fuck you.
This is the man with the most badass name in sports, the Pharaoh, the Egyptian god himself, Amon-Ra St. Brown. And on behalf of my man Von Allen, we want to thank you for your support. Let's fucking go.
Von Allen Sports.
What's up, guys? How are y'all doing tonight? Week's gone by fast, hasn't it? So it's pretty weird how quickly it's gone. Let me see here. Does it read a little better? Okay. All right. So let's see who's here right now already. Justin, and Alpha Courage, they're going to be in the finals tonight. So I'm excited to see how that works out. I'm going to give you a heads up right now in case you want to do a little bit of altering. So we're going to do the finals the same way we did previously. It's going to be the same. So the ratio for the yards and turnovers plus touchdowns ratio to turnovers, and then but plus yards the same way we've always done the yards. Okay, so there will be those two. So you've got to win. If you win one and the other one wins the other one, then there's the tiebreaker comes in, which is whichever quarterback wins or loses. If that is a tie, then because if your quarterbacks aren't the ones that are actually playing each other, then the tiebreaker will be completions, and that will decide the winner of this tournament for this year. What's up?
Okay.
How you doing?
Great, and you?
I'm fine. So I see I got a question about my artwork, the artwork I did for the cover. Well, see, I got asked like why I chose, let me see here, let me pull it up. I just got asked why I chose a Native American to dress the Buffalo Bills up, okay? The Buffalo Bills are actually named after a frontiersman named William Cody. His nickname was Buffalo Bill. And he's just a white dude, you know. He's like a total white dude, frontiersman guy, you know. But with several of these, like I was able to find a Texan. I was able to find a chief, kind of. I turned Tom Brady into a pirate, a buccaneer, whatever, which is that's not even entirely accurate. The 49er up there at the top right with the gun, I don't know how many 49ers carried those, but I had to do something, you know. So I just changed his colors and made him look like that with the kind of the outfit that fits. but then you've got the Ravens. So I had this guy in a looks like some kind of thief or something, and I just made his colors purple and put a bird head on him, and boom, I've got the Ravens. The Green Bay Packers. There's absolutely nothing I could do with the Green Bay Packers. So I just dressed up the Assassin's Creed guy and put green all over him and put a Packers logo on his belt. What else am I supposed to do? I can't exactly. What am I supposed to do artwork of a aggressive a UPS package? That's literally like the Green Bay Packers are named after a meat packing company or whatever it was. Or I think it's meat packing or it's box packing. I'm not sure, but packing, some kind of company, because that was the name of their company. What am I supposed to put up there? Like an aggressive FedEx box and an aggressive meat packing plant? I don't know. But anyway, so I had to come up with something cool. The thing with the Buffalo Bill, just to answer the question, is very, very loose association artistic license. So, I mean, the Bills, their logo is the buffalo. Native Americans hunted the buffalo. We know they were associated with buffalo. Very loose association, best I could do. Same thing with the guy with the feathers around his neck. I mean, I don't know. I didn't just want to put a bird because I made that Ravens guy years ago, but I couldn't find anything appropriate for the Lions. I couldn't find any dude that I could really make him into a cat. There was nothing there, So I just got a fucking lion. I just said, fuck it. I'm just going to put up a lion and you're going to deal with it and then just kiss my ass. That's basically what I did. So almost all of this is Assassin's Creed based. So I'm a huge fan of the game and the series. So almost all of these are characters from Assassin's Creed except for the Texan. The Texan I found the other day, because I never had to make a Texan. The Texan was just some deviant website, the deviant artwork, whatever that they have. The lion is from Assassin's Creed, actually. It's like this lion that attacks you. It's in the Assassin's Creed, the Egyptian one, I think. Yeah, but they're all these are from Assassin's Creed, actually. All the figures. But actually, the funny thing is that Buccaneer, though, that's Tom Brady's face I put on top of it. And I did that years back. That was back in 2020. So, yeah. But yeah, I guess I could have put a super aggressive UPS guy, right? Like, yeah, like all decked out and shit and pissed off. And he's like assaulting you with a package, like I'm going to throw this shit at you. Basically what they do to your stuff at the airport. I guess I could have put that, or a very pissed off, disgruntled employee at the actual FedEx packing store. The UPS store when you go in there and they pack your stuff. Maybe a disgruntled employee there. Give him a gun. Where he comes back and kills all of his employees, fellow employees. So I don't know. Maybe we could have done that. Angry Hulk is in a UPS suit. Yeah, that could have been interesting. But yeah, So very just good question. I mean, I love history. I'm glad you brought that up. A lot of people don't realize even who William Cody is, but that is a very loose association, very, very loose, but it works. I mean, it's clearly worked. I've been doing it for years. I used that guy for years, and you're the first person to ever bring it up, so it's fine. Okay, so also here tonight is Yegar Tharn. He's here. Israel. Yes. Blind Assassin. Tyree Vaughn. Nightly Sinister. What's up? Where you been, man? Yeah. Okay, so we already have a super chat for tonight, and I'm gonna pop that up here real quick. Thank you, Alpha Courage. Really appreciate it, man. We really do appreciate your support. It's a big help, especially since being demonetized. So, because all of our work now, any work I put into the documentaries coming out stuff, it's very unfortunate because I'm going to be coming out soon with interviews that I've got ready. I'm working on Montana versus Brady, the update video, and I know that's going to get a lot of views. That's going to be very popular. I'm going to get 0 cents from it. And then, of course, the greatest quarterbacks of all time series. I know I've been promising it for a long time, but it's a lot of work. It's a massive project. And the reason, and I'll tell you how big and important it is of a project here in a second. I just want to get to this super chat first. Elvin Courage sends $10. He says, after watching Jerod Mayo's woke BLM press conference, who wants to go back to being a Belichick fan again? At least Bill didn't talk about racism bullshit while he was head coach. Okay, so in case you guys are wondering, of course, so the news is Jerod Mayo is now the head coach of the New England Patriots. I was extremely vocal and not shy at all about explaining that I was not interested in anyone connected to Belichick if you're getting rid of Belichick. So basically, the entire point of going and moving on from Belichick is to go a completely different way, a different vision, and just see what it was, for better or for worse. If it's bad, it's bad, fine, okay? If it's good, great, either way. Let's just move on from that. I felt that it has run stale. And I also thought that, now I didn't expect this to happen, but I also was desiring that Robert Kraft, basically just step out of the way and give the team to Jonathan and just be done with it, right? So I've always felt that Jonathan was a lot more loyal to the players and loyal to the fans. And I felt that Robert was too much of a conformist type of guy. He's very snaky. He's a cheap motherfucker, okay? And I could give you all kinds of instances on how he's like, he acts like, he's so frugal, dude. It's pathetic. But anyway, I just don't like how he does business and does things. And I think I thought that he sold out Brady. He didn't defend Tom. He didn't fight for Tom. And that was just in order to save his own ass and save his own reputation. So I was hoping that the team would be given to Jonathan and move on. But I didn't think that was going to happen. But as far as the coaching, if you're moving off Belichick, you got to move off Belichick. That means a change. Why in the literal fuck would you fire Bill Belichick? Okay? Only to replace him with a Belichick Kmart version. The only reason you would do that is not a football reason. There are other reasons involved. So, what would be the reasons for this move? Because it makes no football sense at all. If you were going to stick with a Belichickian idea, okay? Because first of all, we've seen this fail everywhere. Every single Belichick-related coach ever has failed. Every one of them. Every one of them. Okay? If that's not enough to steer you away from hiring anybody who worked for Belichick, if that's not enough, 20 years of failure, how about this? You just got rid of Belichick and replaced him with not even the best available Belichickian guy. Mike Vrabel is available. Mike Vrabel just got fired by the Tennessee Titans. He's a better choice than Jerod Mayo. What the fuck has Jerod Mayo done? Wasn't Mike Vrabel just in the AFC Championship game a few years ago with a team that we all agree is pretty mediocre? And they would have probably been even better if his general manager hadn't traded A.J. Brown, okay? But even that, so if you're going to stick with the Belichickian bullshit, at least go with Mike Vrabel. He was right there for the taking. And of course, Mike probably wanted to be a Patriot. He played for us. He won 3 Super Bowls as a player for us. You don't think he'd want to be the Patriots coach? No, you go with a dude that was afraid of touching the Lombardi trophy because it was dirty.
What?
Yes, it was dirty. That's Jerod Mayo, okay? Ever since I saw his reaction to the Lombardi trophy in 2014, I've never respected this guy. I wasn't that big on him when he was a player. I felt that he was a good leader of the defense. He was good. He was like our quarterback of the defense for a long time, until Dante Hightower was drafted, and then Dante Hightower took over. Far better player in that position than Jerod Mayo, but that's irrelevant to my point. I'm just adding that in there because I'm a big Hightower fan. But this guy has proven nothing to me that he can do it. There's no reason to believe that he could do it. So what are the reasons that this was done? First of all, Kraft has taken a beating personally and professionally before his incidents in Florida. So with the massage, there was a sex ring involved with that massage place. He got off scot-free. If it was any one of us, we'd be completely screwed right now. That was in Palm Beach, or near Palm Beach. And that ring was related to or connected to the Jeffrey Epstein situation. So basically, ever since that happened, Kraft has been a bit different. And I think he made some deals, and I think he's got some pressure behind him, and he's making different decisions than he once did. So I feel that first, this is a DEI hire. Okay, let's just be honest. All right, and the reason it is because they talked about it. If it wasn't a DEI hire, you wouldn't have talked about race at the introduction. Okay. If you wanted, this is again stupid. So if you wanted a Belichickian coach, there was a better one available. If you wanted a DEI hire and you wanted to appease the Rooney Rule, and you wanted to show that you're Mr. all inclusive and all that shit or whatever, there were other minority coaches that are a better choice than Jerod Mayo. So why Jerod Mayo? You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like none of this, like all of this is just stupid, okay? But here's another thing. Robert Kraft is a cheap bastard, and he's been paying Bill Belichick more than any coach in the league for the last 15 years. And he's tired of it. Jerod Mayo, he's about the only head coaching candidate in the league that you could literally fleece and screw him on the money. You don't have to pay him dog shit. Mike Vrabel is going to cost $9 million a year. That's why he didn't go for Mike Vrabel. This is about money, baby. This is about being a cheap bastard. He doesn't give a shit about the team. He doesn't give a shit about whether the team is going to win or not. He scored some political points for his member. He's a businessman. The Patriots isn't his only company. He's got a real company. He's got real businesses and other ventures. Okay? He scored some points there, and he scored big time in the salary issue. Okay? The Patriots aren't any good. The ticket prices, less people, things like that is going to, over time, he's projecting this, trust me, he's projecting this. He knows they're going to suck. He knows they're going to be bad. That's what this was about. He hired a guy that he knew he could control. So we've also heard that Bill Belichick and Jonathan Kraft and Robert Kraft have been butting heads for the last few years. Now, in Robert Kraft's defense, he is pissed off that Tom Brady won a Super Bowl in 2020. So basically, allegedly in 2020, he said that Bill Belichick convinced me that Tom couldn't play anymore at a high level. And now he went and won the fucking Super Bowl. Okay. That's the sentiment of every single Patriots fan out there. So that would naturally be the sentiment of the owner. Okay. So ever since that has put them on a awkward trajectory. Okay. Very difficult relationship. So I get that aspect of it. But none of this makes football sense. None of it. Okay? None of it. I mean, at least there's good news here, okay? And Tyree Vaughn pointed this out to me because I was having a fucking nervous breakdown the other night in the Legion chat, and he said, hey, Aaron, dude, at least we're going to get a new GM. Okay, so I stopped and I was like, okay, Tyree's right. I should just listen to Tyree and just shut up and see what happens. So we get a new GM. Maybe everything's going to be okay, right? So, but I just realized something. It dawned on me, and then almost simultaneously, I swear, it was like we were connected mentally, but Bitcoin Motors chimes in and says, wait a minute, though. Almost all GMs are going to want to choose, or at least be in part of the head coaching process. You're going to want to get a guy that you can work with and that has the same vision as you about the type of players. You don't want to be butting heads. If you've already got the head coach in place, it's going to be harder to find a quality GM. It's going to be hard to find a GM that's good, because if they're good, they're going to want their own guys. They're going to want to at least have input on this and be connected to it in some form. So Tyree Vaughn calmed me down for a little bit, and then Bitcoin Motors freaked me out again. All right, so all this shit's like battling back and forth in my head. It's all like blah, 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 blah. And I'm thinking, shit, man. Okay, so, because immediately when Tyree Vaughn mentioned the GM thing, I was just thinking, but wait a minute, don't we usually do that in reverse? But, okay. And that's when I started reading this report. Now, it's not sourced very well. It's by a guy that I don't have any respect for, a guy named Seth Wickersham. It's not, like I said, it's not sourced precisely by who says what, so we really don't know if he's just making shit up. I will admit that a lot of it has the ring of truth to it, but that doesn't mean facts. But it appears that the Krafts are wanting to be in control. They are wanting to pull a Jerry Jones type thing. And it's not just Robert, it is Jonathan, and Jonathan may be not the guy we thought he was. So there's that aspect. That may be why they went ahead and hired the head coach without even a consent of the next GM, because maybe they don't give a shit. Maybe their GM is probably going to be a guy they're probably going to promote within somebody that doesn't even matter. It seems like with all the things I just said, this sounds like the Krafts completely said, fuck winning. That's not really the priority. The priority now is us just controlling everything. And I think this is not a new thing. This has happened to Kraft before. So in the 90s, he hired Bill Parcells. And he was so scarred by that relationship with Bill Parcells that he went the other direction and hired a puppet, basically, that he thought he could just run all over, which was Pete Carroll. And then he realized, oh shit, winning might be more important than my comfort level and all that. So he went back to a Parcells guy and went with Belichick. Now he spent 23 years doing that. And maybe he's doing the Pete Carroll thing, going back to a guy that he thinks he can control and he can have more input on because of this 23 years of having to walk on eggshells around Belichick. Maybe, that's the connection there, because there is precedence for it, right? Either way, this entire situation with the New England Patriots is not football related. There's no good argument for all of this happening, for you get rid of Belichick to replace him with a knockoff version that's not even proved himself. You know what they put as Jerod Mayo's resume for his hire? His player stats. Wow. How'd that shit work out for Wayne Gretzky? How'd that shit work out for Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson running teams? How'd that work out? Larry Bird was kind of good. Now, I'm talking about the greatest of all time at their positions, right? We're talking about Jerod Mayo, who he's all right. He's all right. I mean, right? He's good. I mean, yeah. But we're not talking about Ray Lewis here, okay? We're not talking about Brian Urlacher here, all right? So what the fuck does his player resume have to do with anything? I really would like to know that. What's Bill Belichick's career yardage? How many touchdowns does Bill Belichick ran for? How many passing yards does Bill Walsh have? I'm just curious. Anybody know? How many quarterback sacks does Andy Reid have? I would like to know how the fuck a player's statistic has anything to do with his coaching ability. Just curious. That's all. So all of this stuff was going through my head before the press conference as he's being introduced. And then it became what Alpha Courage just sent, his super chat there. It became a race issue. I can tell you that this has happened recently with Todd Bowles. Last year, Todd Bowles was approached about this. I think he was coaching against the Steelers and Mike Tomlin, who both of these coaches happen to be black. Oh my God. Alert everybody. Headlines. There's black people in America. There's black people who play in the NFL. It's true. It's true. Spread the word. And there's black guys who coach in the NFL. Holy shit. I mean, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. But we will overcome. Okay. As the great divider in chief, Barack Obama has famously said, although he ripped that off from an actual much better man than him. Yeah. What the fuck does your race have to do with coaching the New England Patriots? Okay? So Todd Bowles was asked that question, and he said, what the fuck you asking me that for? Okay, I'm paraphrasing, of course, but he's basically like, what the fuck kind of question is that? Like, what am I, the token black guy coaching against the other token black guy? Fuck you. You know, just piss off. Okay, what is this shit? This is stupid. This is not 1966. This is not 1924 Mississippi. Okay? This is fucking ridiculous. And the moment that shit and the way they answered it and the Robert Kraft way he was talking, and they even took a dig at Belichick to top it all off, I realized I get what this is. I get what this is. This checks all the boxes that they want. This is not about football. This is about something else. It's about those, like I said, political points. It's about the optics. It's about paying low money, and it's about control. All of those things. This is not about football. This is not about winning. And again, I'm not saying keeping Bill Belichick was the answer. I thought that him and the Patriots should just split ways for both of their sake, okay, even for Bill. But that was with the condition that you moved into something different. Try something else. So all you did was make the organization even worse. I mean, you cannot hand an organization like the Patriots that has just come off the greatest dynasty in sports history, you cannot hand that to a rookie, a guy who's never done anything really. I mean, he wasn't even, Bill didn't even trust him enough to make him a complete coach. You know? It's a mistake that shitty organizations make. It's a decision, it's a thought process, and it's a hire that bad organizations make. This is not the New England Patriots. This was something that the fucking Lions would do. This is something that the Cleveland Browns would do. All right? That's what level of shit that this is. It's so stupid. It's just really infuriating. And the fact that I know this was not about football. It is not about football at all. means that I don't give a shit. I don't care if they suck or not. I don't care. None of it means anything because it's just, this has gone beyond what's best for football. And it reminds me of these companies that go woke, basically, that aren't doing what's best for the investors and not what's best for the bottom line, but for other personal reasons, usually ideology or optics or some kind of, mainly ideology. And ideology always takes precedence over capitalism if you are of that ideology that is against capitalism. So you see these companies do that, okay? That's something Bud Light had done recently. This kind of has that vibe where they're just hiring just to other than what their focus should be, which is football. This is not a football decision. So there it is. There it is laid out. People can get all pissy and argue all they want, but the evidence is clear based on all of the information that we have and basically coming out of their own mouth that this is what they're thinking. I would not want to be a white player playing for Jerod Mayo after hearing what he said. I would constantly be always wondering if another guy's starting over me, is it because of what he said? He does see color. It does, he says, I see color because you have to see color in order to identify racism. Yeah, you also have to see color in order to be a fucking racist, okay? So see, I could throw that shit right back at you. But if I was a white player, I would always be wondering because of that. He said it. He's the one that said it. He's the one that admitted that's what he does. So that's what I would be wondering, okay? So what is that exactly? Stupid thing to say. Stupid thing to think. Again, this is not Lynchburg, Mississippi. Okay, this is 2024. Okay, and this shit's getting old. I'm just, everyone's fed up with it. Everyone's tired of it. Jerod Mayo could have gone a different direction with this, and he could have said and done the things that really instilled confidence. And I'll give you a perfect example, Mike Tomlin, okay? So let's go back in history, guys. When Mike Tomlin was hired as the Pittsburgh head coach, Pittsburgh Steelers had only had 2 head coaches in their history before Mike Tomlin. We even knew why Mike Tomlin, the reasons why Mike Tomlin was hired is because the Rooney Rule, the Rooneys are the owners of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So they were obviously going to hire a minority or someone who's just not white, right? So they went and did that. However, so everyone's thinking, I remember all this. This has all happened. Steelers fans everywhere was saying, oh, fuck, what the fuck? You're going to replace Bill Cowher with a guy who's a nobody? Never even heard of Mike Tomlin. I knew a little bit. I think he was with the Vikings or something. I was like, what the fuck is this? You're going to hand the Steelers organization over to a guy that like this. Okay. So at the very least, after Mike Tomlin's press conference, you went, I get it. Like, you see it. You see how he won over the interview process. You get it. It makes sense. It's like, oh, fuck, okay. So that's what the Rooneys were looking at. Did you get those vibes from Jerod Mayo? Because I certainly didn't. I didn't get a vibe from Jerod Mayo that he was a leader of men, a guy who went in there and had all these, this just charisma and this just like instills confidence in you and makes you think, wow, this shit might work. This actually might be okay. No, Jerod Mayo didn't. So at least he could have given us that, is my point. He could have given us that. He didn't even have that. So it's a disaster. It's going to be a disaster. You can write this down. You can save it, whatever the fuck you want. Bring it back to me next year. You can bring it back to me in 2 years, bring it back to me in 3 years, and this will be a complete disaster from beginning to end. So there it is. Now, this is my problem with head coach hiring. Too many head coaches are hired based off of coordinator abilities. Coordinator abilities is a different skill set than head coaching. Okay? It's completely different. Now, it's always good for a head coach to have coordinator abilities, obviously. But coordinator abilities doesn't necessarily make a good coach. They're different jobs. Literally, I mean this literally, okay? A good CEO, okay? A CEO of a company that's got great leadership. I'm talking about badass leader, right? Or a general in the military, or some higher rank where there's just great leadership ability. If they knew enough about football, I'm not talking about ignorant to football, but they knew football like we do, like we know, and they understand the X's and O's and stuff, but they're great leadership. They could be as effective or more than all these fucking coaches that they're hiring around the league. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Because the head coach's job is to hire the right people, to understand people, to lead people, and put everybody in the right position to succeed. So that means you put your offensive players under the right coordinator. You put your defensive players under the right defensive coordinator. You make these decisions. You work with the GM, and you guys understand what talent you need to get. This is a different job, and that's my point. Okay, I'm not saying people should go out and get CEOs and stuff. I'm just trying to make a point here that the leadership ability is what is the most important, number one thing. Okay, case in point, the Philadelphia Eagles' complete collapse against the Bucs. That was absolutely pathetic. All right, and that was from a lack of leadership and guidance and vision. So that was a guy who got his team last year to the Super Bowl based off of analytics and understanding scheme and understanding stats, but it's not enough. It's not enough to last a long time. I've been asked before if I was creating an ultimate team, and I could pick anybody of my head coach and my coordinators. My ultimate team, my head coach is not Bill Belichick. Okay? My offensive coordinator is actually Bill Walsh. My defensive coordinator is Bill Belichick. But neither are my head coaches. Because that's a different skill set. That's a different thing. There's certain guys who have a gift for leadership. There's certain guys who have an understanding of how to build teams. Okay, so you've got guys like Jimmy Johnson is a very good example. Honestly, Pete Carroll is a good example. John Harbaugh is a good example. These are guys that really understand how a team is assembled. Andy Reid is actually a good example. He just happens to be a great coordinator as well. That's a rare combination there. But you need that ability to understand. And you know what? And I would hold Belichick in a little more high regard in this case if he wasn't the GM. But him as a GM interlocks with his coaching. So if his coaching suffers because of the players, you can't really separate them, can you? But I would take him as a coordinator any day of the week. If I owned a team, I'd pay him head coach money to be my defensive coordinator. That's what I would do right now. If I was the Chargers or the Cowboys, fuck it. How much? Hey, Bill, how much would you take to be the defensive coordinator? You want $20 million? You want $25 million? You're Jerry Jones. You're worth billions. Who gives a shit? How much money do you want, Bill? What is it going to take? $30 million? Be my coordinator. Screw it. How bad do you want a Super Bowl, buddy? So, this is what I'm talking about. So, the Matt LaFleur of the world, all right? Although, I'm going to pull back on him a little bit. He seems to be okay. He seems to be doing okay right now. We'll see. But some of these guys are just dog shit. They're just dog shit head coaches. They may be good coordinators, may be smart guys. I'm sure they're really smart guys. You know who's really smart? Not even a good coordinator either, but really smart. Matt Patricia is a really smart guy. Okay, he's a fucking MIT guy or some shit, something like that, right? But he's a dog shit coach. It's just certain guys don't have it, and that's the problem here. So. Okay. All right. Israel sends a Patreon super chat. He says, I've just had a very similar... Okay, for context, Israel is a Cowboys fan. He says, I've just had a very similar reaction to you. Until Jerry is gone from the team or from the planet, I am thinking about finding a new team to root for. Might be the Bills now. Wow. So, first of all, Israel, regarding your Cowboys, I want to say that you were right. And I've always been willing to admit when I'm right. So, I've always been willing to admit when I'm wrong and somebody else is right. Excuse me. So, basically, when I told you to just enjoy the ride, because if the team wins the Super Bowl, then you're going to regret, being negative all the time. And I just want to say, wow. Okay. Everything you said was correct. Okay. The Cowboys are shit. They are just, they are not going to win anything. And it's because of the owner. It's because of him. He is the only constant. Okay. And ego is the number one cause of greatness being suppressed, greatness being capped. Ego. It's absolutely a horrible, horrible thing when it comes to things like this. The Cowboys, now I'm not saying they would have, but if Jimmy Johnson stays and Jerry Jones stays out of it, they actually might have had a shot at 5 straight. Okay, I'm not saying they would have. I'm saying they had a shot, a real shot, not just bullshit. I'm talking about an actual, very legitimate chance to go 5 straight had they not done that. Had he not ran him off. That's insane, okay? But Jerry Jones wanted the credit for it. How'd that work out? Jimmy Johnson is revered. Jimmy Johnson is loved by everybody, by all Cowboys fans. Jerry Jones, most of them don't like him. So how'd that work out, Jerry? It didn't work out very well, did it? How'd that work out, Belichick? Dude, just a few years ago, you went from being the greatest coach of all time to now people fucking like, he's all right. Because you thought you needed to do it your way and to get all the credit. And by doing that, it actually backfired and went against you. All you had to do was understand that I've got Tom Brady, he's got me, and as long as we're together, and as long as we focus and we do this, we got this shit. Maybe if you start listening to Tom back in 2016 and 2017, the roster's different. And then you don't have the dog shit roster of 2019 and 2020 and so on. So maybe the Patriots look like the 2020 Bucs instead, if you had let Tom have the input. Maybe if you dropped your ego. If you two got in a room and said, you know what? Fuck everybody. Let's just light this league on fire. Tom, what do you want? Let's fucking go for 10. Screw this. Let's do it. You know? God knows how long Tom would be playing right now. Probably be playing still this year. If he was given the keys to the fucking car. And if Bill had just dropped his ego just even a little bit, just pull back a little bit and say, dude, even having some loyalty and just saying, you know what, usually, actually every time a quarterback has never done this at this age, but this is Tom Brady, we owe it to him. We owe it to him to run this shit into the ground if he wants to. Whatever. Had you done that, even if you'd just been loyal, look what would have happened. But you couldn't. So you went for full credit, and it completely and utterly backfired. You thought Tom was done. You thought he was going to go down to Tampa Bay and look like an idiot, and he wins the Super Bowl, and you look like shit, and you have done nothing since. It's gotten worse and worse and worse. You went with Cam Newton. You actually thought Cam Newton was a better choice than Tom Brady, you idiot. And then you get your first-round pick. You get it. You never had a first-round quarterback that you picked. You've inherited some, but you never got to pick one. You did it. You picked Mac Jones. That was your guy. You chose him. That was you, all you. What are we going to say? Oh, well, he never had an attempt or a way to get a quarterback. Well, that was all you. You did that. Look what happened. Didn't work out very well, did it? Tom Brady won a Super Bowl with Bruce Arians. Okay? That dumb fuck. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Okay? It's just... So, ego, man. Ego. Ego even possibly stopped the 49ers. Okay? Ego with the 49ers. Bill Walsh, his ego was so wrapped up into everything that he was doing that he had a nervous breakdown, and then he just left the team as a coach and then went up into the front office. And he thought that would be the end of them. He thought the 49ers would be over, finished, because it's hands off for him. Guess what? George Seifert wins the Super Bowl anyway. Takes over for him. But if Bill pulled his ego back, didn't fuck with Joe so much, and just said, you know what, I'm just going to enjoy this. We're going to do this together. Then he wouldn't have had a nervous breakdown, because he had a nervous breakdown because he was so wrapped up into credit and attention. He would have won the Super Bowl in '89 the same way. George Seifert, Bill Walsh, they would have won. But would they have kept winning? That's the thing. I think that a lot of this, the ego stuff, is in the way. I think it stops so much greatness in this world. Even the Bulls, what could have been? How many could the Bulls have won? Who knows? But I'm tired of it. I'm tired of these people and their egos. I am sick of it. I'm sick of it. It destroys everything in its path. Everything. It destroys friendships. It destroys working relationships. It can destroy marriages. It can destroy everything. And I'm just so tired of it. It's destroying our country right now. Everybody wants credit for everything instead of working together. It's got to be their way. It's got to be their way so they look like they're the master fixer, and then everybody's pulling in a different fucking direction. And that is why shit gets messed up. Help courage. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. Thank you, Israel, for that. But I was just going to, again, I just want to say that the Cowboys, I don't know. The Cowboys have had a lot of great rosters. I was a huge advocate of the Cowboys to land Tom Brady. Why that he had a chance to do that and not go after Tom blows my mind, okay? There's even a possibility maybe in 2021 he could have traded Dak for Tom, and I did a a little video on this explaining the situation. But he could have done that. He could have moved off from Jason Garrett a lot sooner. He could have gotten along with Bill Parcells a lot better and said, Bill, you run the team, you take care of it. I think Parcells actually could have gotten that Cowboys team a Super Bowl. If they would have kept it together, Bill Parcells as the coach, Jason Garrett as offensive coordinator, Tony Romo came in, and that 07 team, they might have been the team. No, I'll say it. They would have been the team, okay? So they would have been the team, not the Giants. But ego. Again, ego. Is it Mike McCarthy's fault? I don't know. I think it's more about Jerry Jones making bad personnel decisions in a lot of ways. We don't know how much control Mike actually has. Is Mike actually getting to do what he really wants to do fully? So how responsible is he for the other stuff? And Dak Prescott, is he the guy? That's another question that needs to be answered. Is he the guy? Mike McCarthy did win a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. He did. They went to a lot of championship games together. But Dak has a history of folding in the playoffs, and that's just the truth. But it wasn't Mike McCarthy's fault that the Cowboys keep blowing it and sucking. He's only been there 3 years. In fact, Dak Prescott's never been better than under Mike McCarthy. So something is right there. So what is it? What's the problem? It's got to start with Jerry. Alpha Courage sends a $20 super chat. Thank you so much, Elf. I really appreciate it, my friend. Thank you. He says, Bill Walsh as offensive coordinator and Belichick as defensive coordinator equals unstoppable juggernaut on offense and an impenetrable wall on defense. That team would be extraordinary. And all you need is just that guy that oversee everything and keep everybody together. And honestly, there's a lot of people that you could pick. There's like 5 dudes that you could pick that really aren't the wrong answer here, you know. So, but again, you know, you have to take ego out of it. Everybody has to do what they're supposed to do. I watched ego tear apart the Houston Oilers. Okay, the early '90s Oilers should have been. They should have at least played in the Super Bowl. In fact, we should have gotten our first, all Texas Super Bowl. But the coordinators couldn't get along. And the head coach had no leadership ability to keep everybody together and put them in check. Jack Pardee was a complete pansy ass. All right, and Buddy Ryan completely wanted to take the show over, and it's all about him. Kevin Gilbride, the offensive coordinator, was a kind of a wuss too, and wouldn't really stand up until it was too late, But ego destroyed a Houston Oilers team that, Warren Moon could have a ring right now if it wasn't for ego from the coaches. So it's a constant problem. It's a never-ending problem. Nefertiti sends a $12 super chat. Of course, her Tom Brady super chat that she likes to send. She says, nothing surprises me anymore in the NFL. Okay, so before I move on to the next topic, I'm going to catch up with you guys just to kind of see what you were saying and kind of feed off that. Oh, Ryan Dyer. Ryan, that reminds me. Okay, so I want to explain something here in a second about my playoffs. I usually mention this like once a year, but I just want to clear it up because I think Ryan kind of misunderstood what I was saying, possibly. So I just want to clear that up. What's up, Blurpy? Bitcoin Motors just said, I kind of look like Matt Patricia when wearing my Patriots polo. Hey, Bitcoin, we're going to get the UFC fight on Saturday night. So we're going to be watching the UFC fight and the game that night at the same time. Few people are coming by. You're welcome to join us, buddy, if you're still in LA, if you haven't gone back to New Hampshire. Okay. Bring Ara if you want. Okay, so... Yep. What does it matter what you gain when you've lost your soul? Exactly. Bill O'Brien is going to be the Ohio State offensive coordinator, John Thomas Chavez says. I couldn't imagine leaving the NFL and going to college. I just would think that was a demotion. I would feel like an absolute loser, an absolute failure. Like I really, I don't have much reverence for Nick Saban as a coach overall. Like in the grand scheme of things, he's not as good as any head coach who's won Super Bowls and had winning records in the NFL. So all of those guys are better than him. So how do you rank that? The guy was an absolute, utter failure in the NFL. An absolute, complete failure. All right? Think about this. The Belichick and Nick Saban were coaches on the same team in Cleveland. So how does that not work? You know, how do you not get that to work? That's kind of weird. So who's the weak link there? Yeah. It's just. Jaeger Tharn. Tharn says, I think it's funny how Belichick loyalists defend the roster while leaving out the fact that he was GM. You know, so people are, saying that, Bill's looking for a team with a talented roster. What? Can anybody explain what that means? That's the stupidest thing. You destroyed the roster in New England, and so you're going to hook up, and that's like that's something that you want to say out loud, or you want people to know. I mean, obviously you're always looking for a talented roster, but it's just hilarious, that would be like a point for you, and because apparently you want to make it yourself, but no, you're wanting to come in and benefit from someone else's work, and it's just, that makes sense for a coach who wasn't the GM somewhere else and was at the mercy of a GM who was just picking bad people. Or if you're a quarterback like Brady, who had to get away from the bad general managing. That makes sense. But it doesn't make sense for a guy who was the GM. Like that's something I would keep quiet and not even really mention. Or I wouldn't want that to leak out to the press that that's what I'm looking for, Okay, whatever. But thanks, Elf. I appreciate it, buddy. John Thomas Chavez, that would be interesting. That Parcells is the head coach of that all-time coaching roster. Yeah, that would be interesting. Tharn, no. That guy, that was unfortunate about that guy that died, but that wasn't the reason. The team, it was the head coach, Jack Party, had no control over the team, and Buddy Ryan was a complete cancer, a complete just nightmare to deal with. I lived through that. Every game, like you know how we lived through every Tom Brady game, and you know every little detail about everything. I lived through that, every detail of that Houston Oilers thing, and it was definitely the staff. It was the staff, all of it. They could not keep it together. They could not keep the players together. The offense and defense hated each other's guts, and it wasn't even useful. Like, it wasn't the useful kind of competitive rivalry that you get, kind of like what Bill had done with the Patriots teams. It wasn't even like that. It was they literally hated each other. So the defense would be like thinking it's hilarious that the offense is getting shit on. I mean, and the offense would think it's hilarious. It's just very stupid, very childish, very chaotic situation. Oh, there were definitely off field distractions, but that's the mark of a good coach, a good head coach, is to be able to take those things. I mean, the fucking Patriots had a murderer on their team, went through cheating scandals and went through an owner that's a complete fucking pervert. I mean, all those things can be guided by good coaching. And good leadership ability. And if everybody just had their ego out of it, then the off the field stuff really could, you could absorb it. That roster they had, the players they had were just extraordinary. They had such a great team. They should have been in the Super Bowl. They should have been playing the Dallas Cowboys, not the Bills. Absolutely. Yeah, I remember that in 2012, Ryan. Yeah, Belcher. Yeah. He like killed his family, and then he went to the stadium, Arrowhead Stadium, in the parking lot, and just killed himself right in front of his coach. This is like crazy shit, man. So. Okay. Yeah. So Ryan, I just want to clear something up here. So let me pull it up. Okay. So as you guys know, I have some issues with the way the format works. Okay, the playoff format. You already know how I feel about the regular season and adding the 17th game, but the playoffs is even of more of importance as far as how they do it. So I wrote this on X the other day. And so it says, now for my annual playoff format complaint, I'm going to read it out for those of you who are listening on the iTunes podcast. Number one, the Cowboys never should have played a game today to get beat by the Packers, no matter how funny it was. And the Bills never should have had to play today against the Steelers and suffer injuries. It waters down the regular season when you can limp into the playoffs and upset a team. This is the NFL, and the difference between teams is very small. The playoffs are a reward for excellence during the regular season. It's not about whether you can beat someone or not. So the point I'm making is, I hear people say all the time, well, if they're good enough to beat them, then they deserve to be there. No, that doesn't make any sense, okay? If that's the case, why don't we just let everybody in and have a playoff and just no regular season at all? Let's just start everybody and 16 on 16, 16 on one side, 16 on the other. Everybody just fucking go at it. No need for a regular season, right? The regular season is the marathon. It's to weed out and see who can last the longest. The playoffs are a reward for that. The playoffs are a reward for that excellence, for doing well. Now, in the NFL, unlike in other sports, the other four major sports, out of the four major sports, the other three is what I meant, they play series, okay? So the good team is generally, for the most part, going to rise to the top anyway. Not in the NFL. The NFL is different. So as bad as the Carolina Panthers were this year, they could, okay, go in and defeat the Cowboys with the way the Cowboys were, and or the Eagles for that matter. They could. It's possible. We all have seen it happen. All right? And that's the worst team in the league, okay? So imagine a team like the Packers or the Steelers that aren't bad. They're just not one of the best teams, okay? So they clearly have a huge ability, possibility and the ability to defeat them. So that's not the point. In the NFL, it's about being rewarded. So the Cowboys never should have had to play a game. They should have got the benefit of resting. And by the way, Ryan, I'm not calling you out for this. I'm actually wanting to explain my position because you brought up some good points that I just want to address. So that's where I'm coming from on that. The NFL is very difficult. The regular season is very difficult. Keeping your guys together, keeping them healthy, everything going completely right. And if you can get that number 1, number 2 seed, I think you deserve the bye. And I don't think that their 7th seed teams deserve to be there. I just don't. I think that it comes down to the final 6, and of each side. That's what it should be. It's been like that for a very long time, and it's worked well, and I like it like that. 2, the Eagles should have been playing a home game against the Bucs. So the whole division winner gets a playoff game is absolutely and utterly idiotic. What does that even mean, win your division? Okay, that's just a random thing. I mean, what if you're in the division and everybody sucks and you're getting a home game rewarded for that, for them sucking? I mean, guys, the Bucs got a home game last year. And they went 8-9. Now I know they actually would have gone 9-8 had Bowles not pulled everybody. But the point is that they just backed their ass in, and they got a home game for that. And it's ridiculous. So if you want to give a division winner and at least if you want to reward somebody for winning their division, okay, give them a playoff berth. But it doesn't mean that you have to give them a home game and the top 4 seeds. That's ridiculous, okay? So the Eagles had a much better record than the Bucs and still had to travel and didn't get to play in their own stadium. And I think that's wrong. I think it should come down. I think the seeding should come down to record. And again, if you want to give a team, however, number 3, except when this applies, you should not be allowed to be in the playoffs without at least a 500 record, even if you are the division winner. So even if you win your division like the Seahawks did, a decade ago, and more than a decade ago now, but they were 7-9. And they got a home playoff game. and the Saints had to travel to Seattle. And guess what happened? The Seahawks won. Now, you think that game wasn't in New Orleans? What do you think would have happened? It's complete bullshit. And again, it's not about you proving that you did well or you're better during the regular season. You didn't earn that. All you did was suck the least out of the people in your division. Who gives a shit? I mean, it makes no sense. So that's what I was talking about. Okay, so Ryan, I was not referring to the Packers as not having a 500. This is a thing I've done each playoff time. Okay, so this wasn't specific to the Cowboys. So point one about the Packers, or this wasn't specific to the Cowboys, Packers, and the Eagles and all that. Those are just examples of the overall rule that I was stating. So I didn't want you thinking that's what I was doing there. So, but that is the rule. And I just want to be clear. While that's the rules, so that's the deal. It doesn't take away anything from the Packers winning. Okay, that's the rules. That's the format. The Packers went in and they did their job and won. All I'm saying is that we should have never changed the rules to begin with. It never should have been that way. But at the very least, can we at least, if we're going to have a 7th seed, can we at least not reward the division winners with a home game if they're worse than the other 3 seeds, okay, outside of the 4th seed? I think that's strange, okay. Okay. So Ryan, you went on to say, so you mentioned the Packers, and so I think I just cleared that up. And you said, I think it's more advantageous to be the 2 seed instead of the 1 seed because I think the week off messes with teams' timing and synergy. It's better to play a weak opponent in the playoffs than to not play at all. I like the idea of the 7th seed as long as the team is above 500. Fair enough. But many times that isn't the case, right? And we're going to have plenty more years where the lower seeds are going to not have a good record, and they're going to get in, the 7th seed there. So, but yeah, so, that does not take away from the Packers at all because that's the deal, okay? So we're not going to do this whole what if thing. So if it was like that still, then they wouldn't be, well, no. That doesn't take away from my analysis and my assessment of the Packers. They did their job. They went in, they got it done. That's it. But that's a separate issue. This is just me talking about how I think things should be formatted. But definitely props to the Packers for what they did. Completely amazing show they put on last weekend. But my rebuttal to your point about not playing is better than not playing. It's kind of a mixed thing, right? So if your team is banged up badly, let's say, they played well all year, but a lot of guys are just like, kind of like Gronk was. By the playoffs, Gronk was just a mess, and he needed that week off. So if your team's banged up, that extra week can mean everything, all right? Now, a team that is a number 1 or number 2 seed, they're usually not relying on like a surge of momentum to carry them, right? They most likely, if they've got a seed that high, if they've got a record that high, they're most likely probably been good all year. They probably got it put together. Teams that go on momentum like you're referring to, and by the way, I agree with you, momentum is a crazy thing. It's a very important thing. But a lot of the times, the teams that we see that go on a run, and they played in the wild card game, they caught fire at the very end, and they had to play just to even qualify. So that's what they were relying on. That was what got them into the playoffs, as where the number 1, number 2 seed could generally afford to not have to have that game. So it's kind of like, it depends, right? But I doubt there's an NFL team out there that would purposely choose to play. So I don't think any team would sit there and say, I want to play. You have your choice to stay home or you can play in the wild card. I think they would choose to stay home. I'm certain both the Cowboys and Bills would have picked to have a bye this week. It's roughly a little better than about 50% of the time a team with a bye week either made or won the Super Bowl, something like that. That's against the field. Okay, so of all the teams that were number 3 through 6 and now 7, the odds are in your favor if you have the bye. Yeah, so that's all. That's all. So as far as your assessment on the bye week, it's all about perspective, I guess. So there definitely is a thing about momentum, but then you've got the other. What if your team is injured and in a bad situation? So I guess it just depends. So it's kind of hard to really decide like what's better for them. Okay. They need to punish tanking. Tanking is a horrible thing. It's bad, you know. You know, the thing about the playoffs, and one thing that it makes the NFL so interesting is that there is no, you know, redo or you get to try again. You lose, you're gone, you're done. And other sports, basketball, hockey, baseball, you get a chance, you get a mulligan, you get a chance to right that wrong. So, you know, game 1 of this series, you drop it, you know. But then you ultimately win because you're the better team, you know. Jordan, he wouldn't be 6-0 if it was a 1-game season, you know, things like that. It's just, we could do that with other sports. Whoever won game 1 would be the winner. Like, how would NBA history look? How would NHL history and MLB history look if we did it that way? Or how would the NFL look if we did 2 out of 3? How many Super Bowls would there be for each team now? What difference, you know, all those upsets, would they have changed? You think that the 2007 Patriots would have lost 2 out of 3 after that first game? They lost that game. You don't think that they're going to go home, study for a week on what the hell just happened and figure that out? Probably. Or at least correct the things that they were doing wrong. The Giants came in with a great game plan and they had to win that day. Also, the pressure contributed to that. They didn't want to make mistakes, so they were tight the whole game and they couldn't really block anybody. They couldn't, they were all in their own heads. 2 out of 3 series, you're kind of more calm. You're like, let's do this. They probably just sling the ball and not give a fuck. They probably win 2-0, right? It just changes everything, right? So, actually, all of, you know, maybe not. I wouldn't say that 2011 the Patriots would have won. I think the Giants were the better team. The 2011 Super Bowl really doesn't bother me all that much. I was happy just to be there. That Baltimore game, Baltimore was better than us in the AFC Championship game. Their kicker is an idiot. You know, he missed. But that was a weird year, and that defense couldn't stop anybody. It was just a strange. I was just very happy to be in the Super Bowl. The Giants were better. I just think they were better, a better team all around. But the Eagles won, the 2017. They would have won the 2 out of 3 there. So it's just, that's what's so crazy about the NFL. So it's just a one-time thing. It's just one. You get one shot at it, and you got to be at your best. Always. It's crazy. It's so difficult. And that's why, you know, Tom having 7 is just absolutely stupid. It just doesn't compute. You know, it's like, what? How? I get how people can rack up rings in other sports. Because if you're a good team and you're a great player, you you can put that ring on quite a bit. Wayne Gretzky's Edmonton Oilers, they're constantly just racking up Stanley Cups. Have you seen that roster? It's absolutely insane. Even after he left, that fucking roster won a Stanley Cup with Mark Messier. See, they just kept rolling. I mean, you can keep that shit together when you've got multiple games to correct what you did wrong. But the NFL, you don't get that. You don't get that luxury. And that's why the playoffs are so important, and that's why the playoffs are a reward for excellence. It's why it's your gift for, hey, you played well in the season, you got to the finish line, you made it this far. Here's your reward. And that's really what bugs me about adding another playoff seed. So, but actually that doesn't bother me as much as the division thing. So the division thing really bugs me. Getting the home game when you're a shit team. And then there's the 5th, 6th, and 7th seed have to go on the road, and they have a better record than you. Let's say that I think that is criminal. I think that is absolutely idiotic. So, yeah. And I like the thing with the Bucs and the Eagles. The Bucs were going to win in Philadelphia. Okay, probably. In my opinion, what we saw with Philadelphia towards the end of the year, I was wrong. I picked the Eagles for that. I thought too much of Jalen Hurts, and I thought too much of the Eagles having that Super Bowl appearance last year. I thought that they would kind of figure it out, but they were completely lost. So the Bucs most likely probably would have won, even if it was in Philly, but that's not the point. The point is Philly deserved to get to play in their own stadium. They had the better record. So that's all. Okay. Alston Thomas asks, what if your division sucks and your record is better than other playoff teams because your division is garbage? Well, not much really can do with that. You still have a good record. This is the NFL, So, okay, if you beat up on your division teams, then you did what you're supposed to do. But if you suck, and everybody else sucks too, and that's why you won the division, that's a different thing, right? But no, winning is winning in the NFL. So I don't care if everybody in your division sucks. You got the record, and that you only get 6 division games. You've got to win those other games. 6-0 is not going to get you, and most people don't go 6-0 in their division. Even great teams don't go 6-0 usually. But 6-0 doesn't get you in the playoffs. You've still got to win a lot of other games. So, and that weird, rare occurrence, I really would just say, nah, it doesn't matter. Elva Kerr says, isn't that what people say Brady had a weak division and they get home games? Well, again, they had the record. So this is just about record at the end of the year. If you have a good record, then that's great, So I just, basically the bottom line is the division winner should not automatically get a home game. Shouldn't mean that you instantly are handed a home game just because you won your division, because the division thing is just a made-up thing. It doesn't have any relevance at all, other than that's how the NFL put you in your spot. And that's okay. Okay, so if it gives you and this mainly is to prevent terrible teams from getting things that they don't deserve, and that's what this is. Usually it works itself out anyway. If you're a good team and you're beating up on your division opponents, you're still going to have a good record. You're, again, 6-0 in your division isn't going to get you in the playoffs. That's not enough. You've got to win other games. You've got to. So that's how it is. And then, like I said, most people don't go 6-0 in their own division, even if they're a good team and in a bad division. They always usually drop one, at least one. It's almost always that case. I think the entire Patriots dynasty, they only did it twice. They only went 6-0 twice, okay? And they're supposed to have a bad division, but they could only go 6-0 twice. and one of them was their undefeated season. So did the division have anything to do with it? And I think the other time they went, the record was like something crazy, like 14-2 or something. See, the division clearly had nothing to do with why they were winning games. It was obvious that they were good. Yeah, Bitcoin, same thing. Okay, yeah, exactly. So seeding by division, but home field by record. Cool. That'll work. That's fine. Okay. But yeah, just to avoid that situation. So Ryan Dyer says, I think divisions need to go away and keep conference to truly find out who the best team is. And I think that would be fun and interesting. I think one of the reasons they benefit from divisions is distance between teams. So travel and all that. I think that's kind of what the thinking process would be against doing something like that, although I would find that fun. I think that they would be like, whoa, wait a minute, they would argue that. And also in your division, if you're all kind of together, I know there's exceptions. There's like the Cowboys and the Dolphins, and there's a few exceptions there. But for the most part, most of the teams are in a regional area, and they all have the same kind of conditions, and things like that. I think that I'm saying that that's what they would argue probably for. I tell you what I am bored of. I am bored of the same division opponents all the time. I am so bored. I got so bored of seeing the Bills and the Jets and the Dolphins on the schedule. It's like, I mean, I'm all up for the NFC games. When we'd have an NFC opponent, I don't even care if they sucked. It was just something interesting and new and something cool to watch. Division games, I think they just run stale. I think I don't know. Something's got to be done. It's just the twice a year thing. I don't know. If you want them to make sure you play them every year, that's fine, whatever. But the twice, I think it's too much. There's just the same 6 teams every single year. That's boring to me. Elva Courage has something interesting here. He says maybe conference championship games should be played at neutral sites. Well, again, though, playing in your home stadium is a reward for your excellent work during the regular season. So I think it's fine the way it is. In that case, it goes back to the reward for being good. So that's all I'm wanting. I'm wanting people to be rewarded for what they did, and not getting a reward or getting a benefit for something they didn't earn. So. Austin Thomas says, I will say this again. Overtime is a punishment for not winning in regulation. The old rules are perfect. First blood touchdown wins. I never had a problem with the overtime rules. I grew up with those, and that was just how it was. You couldn't get it done. So now if you don't get the ball first, your defense is going to have to do their job because y'all weren't doing your job. The offense wasn't doing their job enough to get it done in regulation. That was the idea behind it. All of these changes, they've really all kind of come along, the last 15 years. The floodgates were opened when Brett Favre threw that interception as a Viking against the Saints. And then so in overtime, the Vikings and Brett Favre never got the ball, and then they changed it. And that was kind of that kind of opened the door for every time a team complained or something happened in a high-profile game, then they would change it. And we all know about the Chiefs got the rules changed again after they lost the 2018 AFC Championship game. It's like, dude, I mean, the fucking Patriots, that was a long-ass drive. They converted 3 third and 10s, dude. 3 third and longs. And you couldn't stop them? Screw you. Okay? You couldn't even make them kick a field goal. You weren't winning that game, dude. Sorry. You just weren't. And okay, you know. But on the other hand, I understand from a fan perspective, you want to see both teams get a chance and all that. So that's why I've really not made a big fuss about it. I'm kind of indifferent, I guess. So on both. I never thought there was a problem to begin with and never should have been changed. But now that they're changed, I really don't have a problem with it. It's kind of weird. So it's just, I'm indifferent. Okay. I'm just bear with me. I'm catching up with everything you guys are saying. Yeah, Ace says here, Brady led the league in touchdowns in 2002, but again, he was carried. Brady was also the most clutch quarterback in 2003, then 04 kicked ass, was top 3 statistically, then 05 led the league in yards. And this was a time where, and a lot of this had to do with Peyton Manning. So that takes me to, I want to talk to you guys about the greatest quarterbacks of all time formula here in a second. But before that, I want to talk about something that kind of irked me. I brought it up before, but it's this first round quarterback bias. So on all the shows this week, I kind of see what the pulse is of these guys and what kind of bullshit they're feeding. But they all collectively said something that really bothered me. A lot of praise for Jordan Love, but a lot of disrespect for Brock Purdy. And I know exactly why. Okay, this is a first-round bias, and they were shitting on Brock Purdy like he is a complete, absolute loser. All right? Now, I'm not saying that he's Dan Marino or something, okay? But you know what? Jordan Love's not Aaron Rodgers. So let's calm the fuck down. So what the Packers have done, what they did against the Cowboys, and how well they've been playing down the stretch, Jordan Love's statistics, he's something like 25 touchdowns to 1 pick or something like that. That's awesome. Awesome. And good for him. You know, it's good for him and good for the Packers. I mean, hopefully they got their guy. Okay. And maybe that they'll get lucky again, strike gold a third time. You know, we'll see. But that hasn't happened yet. And we don't know what's going to happen. They may get completely annihilated by the 49ers this weekend. And then all this doesn't matter. So we'll see. But to disrespect Brock Purdy already like that, they just completely just like, oh, well, Jordan Love's a better quarterback. Just, how do we know? I mean, how do we know? What do we have that tells us that Brock Purdy is so bad? Okay? And I just, it infuriates me because I know it's not coming from a place of they just really feel that way about the quarterbacks. It's coming from a bias. It is a non-first round bias. That's what that is. It's absolutely the truth. And it's so annoying. It's absolutely annoying. And again, I am not saying that Brock Purdy is the best quarterback in the league or some shit. I'm not saying that, and I'm not saying that Jordan Love is a bad quarterback. I think things look great right now and exciting. And if I was a Packers fan, I would feel at least pretty good about things right now. But to sit there and the way they dismissed Brock as just nothing. So here's what I can't figure out. If Brock Purdy is just a product of the 49ers, okay, and he may well be. He might be, okay? He might be the guy that is a system guy. Maybe that's his thing. Well, Joe Montana, in a sense, was a system guy, true to the term system. Is there something wrong with that? I don't know. I don't think so. They kind of turned that term into a bad thing. So it's weird how they flipped it, But what it really means is that you are the playbook. You are the coordinator at the same time, not in the literal sense as someone's, you're inventing it, but you're part of the playbook. You're the mechanism. Okay, it means that you're doing things correctly like you're supposed to do. You're delivering the playbook how it's meant to be played. Okay, because if you're not a system quarterback, if you're not called a system quarterback, it means you're an ad-libber. It means you're a hero ball guy. And you're going outside of what was intended. You're going outside of the coaching and all that. Is that good or bad? I don't know. I don't think it's either. But I don't think system is good or bad either. But my question is, why isn't this applied to Patrick Mahomes? Why is it okay to blame and say Brock Purdy is nothing, but he's under Kyle Shanahan, when Andy Reid is Patrick Mahomes' coach? Like, why? I don't understand. And again, I'm not even criticizing Patrick for that. That's not my point here. I think there's different ways to be a quarterback. I think there's all different ways to be a quarterback. My point is, why, when you call somebody a system guy, why is it always a negative for guys who are not first rounders? Why is non-first rounders always getting that when they play well? Well, what the fuck would you call Patrick Mahomes? Oh, Aaron, but he ad-libs, he runs around, and all that shit. Wow. You know who else did that? Alex Smith. Mr. Game fucking Manager, okay? There's never been a guy in the history of the NFL who is more synonymous with the title of Game Manager than Alex Smith, okay? Check down Alex. Go watch any of his games under Andy Reid. Any of them. And you would think there was a pale-ass Patrick Mahomes out there, except that he doesn't run like a toddler with shit in his diaper. But Alex Smith is out there doing that stuff. He's out there doing it. Sidearm shit, running around, throwing around, doing all this crazy stuff, bombing shit, 65 yards down the field to an open Tyreek Hill. Alex Smith was doing this stuff, guys. Okay? So, how is Patrick not a system guy? How do we not apply that to him when we saw a guy previously do it who was known as Mr. Checkdown before he got to Kansas City, when he was in San Francisco? It's weird, right? So what's up here? I don't get it. How is Brock Purdy any different from being part of a system? Now, the Chiefs system, I think, is better than the 49ers offensive system. I think the Chiefs offensive system is the best in the league. But this is not to shit on Mahomes. This is actually to prop up Brock and say, why can't we respect what he's doing? Patrick is doing it. Patrick plays different, but Patrick is a product of the system because we've seen it done that way before. We've seen Andy Reid do this. Andy Reid did it with Alex Smith. Andy Reid did it with Michael Vick, and he did it with Donovan McNabb. So we've seen this before. He did it with Brett Favre, not directly, but he was on the staff, the offensive staff, in the 90s. All those players have similar games, okay? When they played for Andy. So, is that the system? Is Patrick Mahomes a system guy? Is he? Isn't the West Coast system that Andy Reid coaches, part of it is a system? Isn't everything a system? Isn't the quarterback himself the fucking system? I'm tired of this shit. All of this stuff is a first round bias. It's all it is. All of it. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. A quarterback is a quarterback. You know? Quarterback is a quarterback. Whatever you're doing, I don't give a shit where you were drafted. Why would that matter? Why would that matter? I don't get it. I just don't get it. So, it's, again, I'm not saying that Brock is the best quarterback in the league or something. I'm not saying that, obviously. I'm just saying, why do we have to shit on him? Because he's in a good scheme and he's a good offensive system. Well, Mahomes is too, you know. So, in fact, for a first-round quarterback, Patrick Mahomes is literally the luckiest person ever to be drafted as quarterback in the first round to go to a position that he went to. And again, he made it work. I'm not knocking him for it. I'm just saying, though, that doesn't mean we have to shit on other guys. So we could make a lot of point to a lot of different things. So. Okay. What were you guys talking about here? I'm backing up. I tend to go on rants sometimes and don't realize how long I've been talking. Okay. Okay. Yeah, the media narrative is really does have an effect on people. It's interesting how that works. Yeah, so Gord King, exactly. Gord King says, I've said it before and I will again, there's no top-tier quarterback talent that has ever walked into a more favorable situation than Patrick Mahomes. That is beyond dispute. But unlike Brady haters, I'm not using that against Patrick. He clearly was the missing piece, okay? Everything was the same. The Chiefs couldn't get over the hump. You inserted Patrick Mahomes, and boom, you got 50 touchdowns. You got an MVP his first year. You got to the AFC Championship game just like that. Boom, okay? He clearly is part of the thing. But it doesn't change the fact that was a great situation he went in. But he was the missing, he took it to the next level. That's obvious. That's only meant to say, stop talking shit about other quarterbacks, who have good situations around them, when you could sit there and point right to Alex and say, well, what about, point to Patrick, say, well, what about him? So again, and nobody's saying that Patrick isn't, best quarterback in the league, whatever, blah, blah, blah. That's not the point here. So. Tharn says, if Brock Purdy sucks, why wasn't Jimmy G doing as well, and why did Lance fail to beat out Darnold as quarterback 2? All 3 of those quarterbacks you just mentioned. Jimmy G, 2nd rounder. Remember, Brock is a 7th rounder. He's the last pick in the draft, okay? Jimmy G, 2nd rounder. And Darnold and Lance, not only are they both first rounders, but they were top 5 picks, I'm pretty sure. So why didn't they work? Why, or I'm sorry, well, with Darnold, apologies. Darnold did beat out Lance. Okay, I see what you're saying there. But none of these guys are the starters. Okay, so none of these guys, Brock Purdy is the starter, the 7th rounder. So why didn't that work, They don't want to talk about that part, though. Tyree Vaughn says, there was like a whole layout online showing all the first-round quarterbacks are in the playoffs. Bullshit, if you've seen that. No, I'm not really sure what that is, but okay. Cool. Isn't that kind of what you expect from first-round quarterbacks? Isn't that that's kind of the point, right? So, Brock Purdy is a 7th rounder, but I guess they meant the first round, right? The wild card round. So, yeah, Joe Flacco was a first rounder. Matthew Stafford was first overall. Jared Goff. Dak Prescott was not a first rounder. Let's see. Yeah, well, that's not completely correct. But, there are a lot of first rounders, yeah. Jordan Love, Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, barely a first rounder, but he's a first rounder. Yeah. I cannot fathom what round you're picked in has any bearing on someone's view of their accomplishments and how good they are. I cannot understand how that would matter. What difference does it make? Who gives a shit? You think their touchdown passes are worth a little more or less because they were drafted wrong? That just means that all the evaluators are fucking stupid. That's all that means. Okay? It just means nobody saw it. Nobody got it. Nobody understood it. You know what else it means? Sometimes it doesn't even mean that. Sometimes it means that when a guy is picked later on in the rounds, he actually made himself better. He willed himself. Maybe he wasn't good when he was drafted, but he became good. Isn't that commendable? Isn't that something that we should be, But no, everybody wants to push it down. Let me tell you something. If Russell Wilson had been a top 5 pick, everything would be different. The way they talk about him would be different. And I'm not saying that Russ didn't receive some good praise and stuff over the years. Okay, there were times where he did. But you guys have got to admit, if it ever got rocky, even a little bit, it was people just shit on him. Just put him away. There it is. There it is. Because he wasn't Andrew Luck and he wasn't RG3. They were first and second. And there he was in the 3rd round. Nobody gave a shit. That's it. That's it right there. Nobody cared. It's got to be something. It's got to be another reason. There's got to be another reason. It can't be because he actually made himself good and made himself better. It can't be that Brock. It's got to be some other reason. It's got to be. It can't be Tom Brady. It's got to be what everybody put around him. Tom's just a 6th rounder. So it can't be him. There's got to be another explanation for it. There's no way that me and all of our people here at ESPN are dead wrong and didn't even see this. It couldn't possibly be that we just missed it and admit that we missed it. No. There's got to be other reasons. We've got to explain it away. You know? I mean, politics are like this right now too. It's funny. It's like why is that person winning? Oh, not because their policies are actually they're likable people or you never bothered to listen to them. Oh, it's got to be some other reason. It's got to be some other reason. Yeah, you know, okay, whatever. People, man. It's funny. Yeah, I don't like how certain terms have become negative or used as a pejorative, like game manager or check down guy or whatever, you know. Why don't we just call Mahomes Mr. fucking Screen Pass or Mr. Yak? How about that? See, we could do this shit all day, man. I mean, just how these things develop in people's minds, and it's just so weird. There's more to quarterback than launching the football down the field, okay? If that's all it was, then Jamarcus Russell would be the GOAT right now, okay? Because that dude could launch that shit like 75 yards or some shit. Like, it was crazy, okay? How'd that go? Of course Tom was a game manager. Tom managed to win the fucking game all the time. That's what he managed to do. Tom is a system quarterback because he is the system. That's the deal. We got to reclaim these terms. They're not insults. They're not. Why is an improv quarterback and a guy who is just making it up as he goes, why is that so much better? Why is that considered so good? I don't. Why is that up here, but a guy who stays within the confines of the scheme and does everything correctly, why is that down here? But the guy running around like a fucking idiot is supposedly, oh, he's more talented. More talented at what exactly? At what? Let's answer that question. What is he more talented at? It's not rhetorical. I'm seriously asking. What does that mean exactly? More talented. That's the word we use when the quarterback we're trying to compliment, we say he's talented because it really means he's fucking stupid. Okay? Or he is not a cerebral quarterback or doesn't know where to go with the ball, doesn't know how to follow the play correctly. So what is he talented at? Talented at running around? Okay. Then the other guy is talented at thinking. The other guy is talented at understanding where to go with the ball, understanding the defense and what he's looking at. So why isn't that more talented? What does that mean? You see what I mean? These words that they throw around, it's just so stupid. You know? Quarterbacks are different. That's it. But it's that talented, more talented. Oh, okay. You know, Patrick Mahomes is more talented than Tom Brady. At what? At what? Okay? So running around, escaping from the pocket and you know, running. Okay. He's more talented at that. So finish the sentence. Don't just say he's more talented than Tom Brady. Is he more talented than Tom Brady at accuracy? Is he more talented than Tom Brady at reading defenses? Is he more talented at getting the ball to the right guy, always throwing from the pocket? None of those things. Is he a better leader? No. So what is Mahomes more talented than Brady at? And this is not just goes for Tom and Patrick. I'm talking about everybody and all these other quarterbacks. What does that mean? All I heard when I was young, Brett Favre's so talented. He's more talented than any quarterback. He's got more talent than anybody I've ever seen. Guy couldn't read a defense, save his fucking life. All right? He even admitted it. It's not a criticism. I'm just saying that he admitted it. He couldn't do it. That's why he played the way he played. That's good for him. It worked. But imagine a Brett Favre with all of that talent that could read defenses and understood better about how the game worked. A lot of those interceptions are not interceptions. How many trips to the Super Bowl you think Brett Favre would have now if he had that talent to understand where to go with the ball? You combine them. That's what you should do. So, talent. What does that mean exactly? I don't know. Talent's usually a word I hear assigned to people who are underachievers. Talented. Oh, he's talented. You know? It's like, okay. It's like you're sitting in your friend who just made a shitty movie or short film or something, and you're watching it, and you're like, how'd you like it? It was well done. You're very talented. Okay. It means it's not the best movie I've ever seen, I'll tell you that much. So, this is funny. It's just funny how people, I'm just saying that it's funny how people talk. He's more talented. Okay. Heard them say, Jordan Love is more talented than Brock Purdy. At what? We have to talk about it. At what? Let's, line by line, let's do this, okay? And maybe he is at certain things. Maybe he's got more attributes that he's talented at. But just to just throw that out there, we don't really know, do we? We have to actually look. So, I don't know. Somehow not being able to run around and all that shit and, translated to 7 Super Bowls. If that's not talented, the word talent is never applied to Brady. I've never heard it applied to him. I'd like to get some of that non-talent, I'll tell you. So, I also have more respect for people who are less talented, as they say. People who are self-made. People who created themselves by will. Whose game is more respectable? Terrell Owens or Randy Moss? One naturally was born with it. The other one willed it. The other one made himself as good as he was. Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice is nowhere near talented as Randy Moss. But Jerry's the GOAT, right? Why do we always give the other guy the nod? Because he's talented. Anyway. This shit just bugs me. Just wish we could just, judge guys for what they do in the league and what they're accomplishing and how they're playing. That where they came from, what kind of talent you think they have. It's all pointless. It doesn't fucking matter. Okay? Because let me tell you something. The same word when they say Patrick Mahomes is the most talented quarterback we've ever seen. Those attributes that they're actually thinking about, they don't even realize they're thinking about it, but those attributes they're talking about is applied to every single quarterback that has ever gone in the first round in the history of the NFL. That. Talented. Because that's what people draft. They draft in the first round talent. That word, there it is. That's what we're drafting. The talent we saw, the potential, what he could be, what he's got. That's everybody. So how come everybody's not Patrick Mahomes? Alex Smith was taken the first round. There's something else there. Okay? It's something different. And it has nothing to do with what they were when you drafted them. That has no bearing on it at all. And it's fucking insane that people don't get this. the job of a quarterback is insanely difficult if you want to be very efficient and good at it. If you want to be, excellent. It's a crazy job, crazy hard. I don't mean in life. I mean, I'm talking about in football. You've got to, the stuff you have to understand, the things you have to learn. It's not good enough. It's not enough to just be physically gifted and physically have hard work and put that work in and make your body a certain way where you can absorb hits or where you can escape. It's not just, or passing and being accurate. You've got to study. You've got to know every player's position. You got to know what they're doing. You got to know what the defense is going to do. You got to know everywhere you should go with the ball. You got to know geometry. You need to know angles. You need to understand that if I throw the pocket from right here on this side of the hash mark, it's an exact, how many degrees is it if I angle this over here, and how fast does it have to go before it's picked off? How long can I wait? What if I throw too soon? What if I throw too late? There's so much shit involved. And that's when it drives me nuts that people chalk up a quarterback to talented or not. Because they have no idea what's involved. They have absolutely no idea. And this is what I told Chiefs fans a few years back. I said, the day that Patrick Mahomes learns how to read defenses and understands pre-snap, that is going to be a scary fucking quarterback. And right now, he still to this day has not learned it. And right now, this year has shown those tendencies. And actually, it showed in the Super Bowl 55 against the Bucs. Because the Bucs were giving Patrick something. If you go back and watch, they were giving him some underneath shit that Brady would have taken. Alex Smith would have taken that underneath stuff. And then maybe they get in the end zone. They weren't going to fucking win. The Bucs are just dominating their ass in more ways than one. But it would have looked better. They would have gotten in the end zone. But the Bucs knew that Patrick was going to keep throwing it and keep throwing it and keep throwing it. He was just going to dig himself. It's like in quicksand. The more you fight, the worse it gets. And they knew Patrick was going to just keep doing it. Keep digging. They knew. They fucking knew. And it worked. And then we got confirmation after that because in the mic'd up version of that Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes on a sideline saying, if you keep calling it, I'm going to keep throwing it. It's like, hey, dumbasses, maybe you should stop calling it and maybe you should stop throwing it. I mean, he said this shit in the fourth quarter after they've been completely annihilated. It's like, what are you doing, dude? You didn't understand it? Did nobody learn from the Falcons, Patriots comeback? At no point was Tom Brady bombing the fucking ball to make that comeback. At no point was Brady sitting there just launching that shit down the field. All this. How did he do it? Shit, you're going to give me that? Okay, I'll take it. You're going to give me that? All right, I'll take it. First down. Oh, corner, right there. Boom. Get out of bounds. Stop the clock. Oh, okay. Oh, I'll take that. Patrick Mahomes, in that same situation. Oh, fuck. That's Patrick. But he hit his face mask. It's the greatest incompletion I've ever seen. Fuck you. Eat a dick. Only Patrick Mahomes gets credit for an incompletion. Okay, I'm kind of going off track here. Okay, so how are you doing, Milena? You're just laughing at me right now. What's up? What are you doing? Okay. You enjoying this? Uh-huh. All right. Milena, Patrick Mahomes set a record for running around the football field for a quarterback. He ran like 455 yards or something around behind the line of scrimmage. That's impressive. You're supposed to think that's awesome. You know what it equaled to? 3 field goals. Three field goals. Guys, I know it doesn't look like it on TV, but throwing from the pocket is the hardest thing you can do. It is the most difficult. The reason leaving the pocket is so popular is because it increases your chances of success. So if you physically are gifted and able to do that, unlike Peyton Manning or Tom Brady, you increase your odds because the longer the play goes, the more advantageous it is for the offense. So the wide receiver gets an advantage over the defensive back. The DB can only keep up with him for so long because as an offensive player, you know where you're going. The defensive guy has to assess where you're going. And the longer this takes, the harder it is to cover you. So running around, buying time, stuff like that, and then running from side, you can make the angle. You can run parallel with your guy, and it makes the completion a little easier, actually. But throwing a ball from the pocket and seeing through everything. You ever guys watch? Sometimes they'll show the camera from behind the quarterback, and you're on the replay, and you're like, "Holy, what the hell!" When you saw it, it just looked like a regular throw down the field, no big deal. And then when you saw the camera from behind him, you're like, "Wait a minute, how the hell did he even see that? Like, how did he get that? How did this like crazy, right?" And you've got to see it from that perspective. It's very difficult. It's very, very difficult to throw from the pocket consistently. Justin, remember how talented Mahomes looked when he was running for his life from the Buccaneers defense? That was super talented. He was. He did run around a lot. I mean, he did get away quite a bit from them. There you go. But what if instead of running around, he took what they were giving him? Run the ball, get some things going, get some underneath stuff going. Just being patient, But in order to do that, in a situation like that, you really got to understand what the defense is doing. You have to understand before the snap. You have to understand all of these things going on. And Patrick is still, to this day, very reliant on what he's being told and hoping that his guys are just more athletic and they get open, hoping that the scheme works. But when you run into a team like the Bucs, which had their number and had the personnel on the field that can achieve that, then you're fucked. Okay? So it works with certain other teams, a lot of teams actually. So that's why the Chiefs are so successful, and good for them. But I'm just saying, imagine if Patrick had that as well. What if he understood and studied and devoted himself to playing the position the way Peyton and Tom and Drew Brees have done over the years, or even old school guys, that understood reading defenses. Dan Marino, Warren Moon, Troy Aikman, okay? Things like that, all right? So imagine what that would do for his game. So you could be whatever you needed to be each week. So if you're playing a team that can exploit your physical gifts and they're going to give you some money, you can take those things. You can take it from them that week. And maybe you only throw for 200 yards, but you're very efficient. And you kill that defense. Like I said earlier, Tom killed that Chiefs defense in overtime because he just kept getting first downs. They just kept, the defense was just getting exhausted and they were out of there. It was killing them. The Falcons was the same thing. That comeback was just death by 1,000 paper cuts. There was no, if that was Mahomes out there, he would have just been launching it. And Andrew would have been like, keep throwing it deep, hoping that something happens. It's not going to work. It's not working. You've got to understand. So. Just getting caught up here with you guys. Tharn says Dominic Hasek was more talented than Patrick Waugh. But Patrick Waugh was there, and yeah, it's just it's all about how you say it, I guess. That's my quarterback. Let me ask you guys something. This is a straight up question. Do you think that passing yards and passing quarterback stats in general from 1960 to 1969 in the NFL and the AFL are equal? So do you believe that if you're in the AFL, a quarterback in the AFL, if his statistics are equal to another quarterback playing in the NFL at the same time? I guess it comes down to, do you think the leagues were equal? Should AFL statistics be treated equal to NFL statistics before the merger? Because there were differences, okay? There were slight rule differences, personnel differences, player difference. The AFL was more, they like to throw the ball quite a bit. It's why you had that crazy year, but I'm just asking. I kind of have, I know what I'm thinking. I'm just curious though what you guys think. What do you think it is? Do you think it's equal? Do you think it should just be equal? The Hall of Fame treats it as equal, so nobody's changing that. I'm just curious what you guys think. Oh yeah, that's true. Ace says in 10 Super Bowl appearances, Brady showed up 10 out of 10 times. Oh, almost every quarterback who's been in more than 2 Super Bowls, I think all of them actually. I'd say maybe there's only 2 that showed up for every single Super Bowl and was just a dominant dude, was just the best player on the field, or at least one of the best players on the field that day. Yeah, I guess him and Joe, right? Because you got to take other quarterbacks that have had multiple appearances in Super Bowls. You got Bradshaw with 4, but he wasn't always he was the best player for 2 of them, but there were a few, the one where he wasn't the dominant guy. Like Ben Roethlisberger, he played in 2, but he was never that good in those Super Bowls. Elway got crushed several times before he finally won his. Troy Aikman, I guess, showed up. I guess you could say that, but was he the dominant one each time? Not really, but I guess we could count Troy, though. Troy did show up. Like, he didn't fuck up. He didn't screw it up, or it wasn't getting crushed. Peyton got crushed in that one against the Seattle Seahawks. That was just rough. But, yeah. I guess Eli showed up, didn't he? That's 2. But to show up at like 3 or more, and that's a very impressive thing, Jim Kelly played in 4 straight, and he was never that dude, in the Super Bowl. So it's quite an impressive thing to be in 10 and not have one fuck up, not have one Super Bowl where you were just complete garbage. That's weird, actually. That's strange. You would think out of 10, and you would forgive him for it. Like, nobody would even care. 1 out of 10, that you would think, right? And I guess you guys are referring to Patrick getting crushed in 2020, but he really wasn't that good in 2019. And I don't think he even deserved that MVP. I think that was kind of we don't know who to give it to, so we give it to him kind of thing. So I guess you could say he really showed up for his first Super Bowl, this recent one. So it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing to be great in that game. It's the pressure, the nerves, it's just got to be insane. But to do it 10 times and always show up, maybe it wasn't always his best, in some of those. Obviously, he could have been better against the Giants, But there are other factors involved with that. But he wasn't bad or anything like that. He just wasn't what we expect. Wasn't what we were really looking for. But a lot of people were bad in that game. But the Giants were actually really good in that game too, in those games. So, but yeah, 10 out of 10 like that. That is a good point. It's very, very impressive. So. Yeah, Blacker. I think I'm going to agree with you on that. Terry Bradshaw. I mean, he kind of gets shit on and left behind, but and there's something you guys tell you, especially this is before my time. Bradshaw. That was before I was even born. But the 70s was a strange time for football. It was. There was a few years there, up until like 77, 78, and 79. It was a very strange time to be a quarterback. And all of these new concepts were coming in. And, the AFL, the merger, brought in all of this crazy shit, and like, whoa. Everybody was kind of adjusting. And passing kind of took a hit, and at the same time, you were, the defense could get away with a lot, and you could do a lot to screw a receiver up, and they took that away at the end of the 70s, and that kind of introduced us to the modern passing era, and we really never looked back since then. All these Montana fans that are always like, "Oh my God, it was robbery, and you could have present sex with the wide receiver on the field and all this stuff." It's all bullshit. Okay, so 79 really was the what I would call the turning point, and it's an arbitrary number. I mean, you could pick. A lot of people have different opinions, but for me, I think 79 is really the push into the modern passing era, when passing it became like, okay, passing is going to be the thing now. That's when it all started. Joe Montana definitely benefited from this new era. Marino, Elway, all of them did, okay? It's not as gladiatorial as people think, all right? They overstate it, really. What they really need to look at is the 70s, okay? So the 70s, it was more difficult. It was difficult to be a wide receiver. It was difficult to be a quarterback. It was difficult to complete a pass, you know. So that's why you played good defense. You ran the ball. That was really the way to do it, and that was the better way to win a game and dominate a game. It was a strange time frame, but the point is that there was really kind of not much of a change from 79 to the 90s, through the 90s. Then there were a few slight changes here and there. Maybe one or two big changes at the end of the 90s going into the 2000s. But still not enough really to jack up everything all at once. It was a slow thing. But I'll tell you guys, a real bad turning point, a real big one, was after 2003. So all of a sudden, you know, the Colts can't stop the Patriots. The Patriots were just playing football. You know, they're just good at playing, you know, hard-nosed football. Peyton and the Colts, and they were whiners, they were babies, and they complained. And then in 2004, boom, Peyton Manning breaks Dan Marino's record and throws for 49 touchdowns there. I was like, oh my God, Peyton Manning's so great. He broke, yeah, good job. You broke a 1984 record in 2004, fucking 20 years later, right after you complained about the coverage rules and you got them changed. So you can clip out, the 79 to 90, I'd say 93. Then you would want to clip out 94 with the introduction of the salary cap, because that does change things as far as a quarterback cannot have a stacked roster around him to artificially inflate his stats, even if he's not that talented. Talented, right? Good. So then you would take it from 95 to probably 2000, the end of 03, and then the beginning of 04. Then in 05, they opened it up a little more. Then in 06 is when they really just was like, okay, we're going to really, this was all about the Colts. This was really about Peyton. And everyone gives Tom Brady shit about the Brady rule, about the kneecap rule. Yeah, what quarterback wants his kneecaps broken? Really? What does that have to do with completing passes? Peyton Manning, they had the rules changed for to benefit their actual style of play. How the hell is Peyton not getting shit for that? Like, nobody talks about this. It's so funny. But then everything stagnated. They were pretty much the same from the Colts change, I would say, to probably up until about 2011. And then there were, I'm guessing, I'm probably off by maybe a year or two, but something like that. It felt like that. And then up until 2017, and then 2018, that's when this new era thing started. And they started calling all kinds of shit, and it was crazy. Like, you couldn't, it was, and here we are today, okay? So you've got these blocks of time, right? Tom played through like 4 different versions of these. It was like, didn't really matter. Whatever it was going on, he thrived and won. However you wanted. Okay, so in the early 2000s, throwing the ball around wasn't as common. Okay, I'll win like that. I'll win efficiently. Now it's about throwing the ball. Okay, Peyton Manning can throw 48 touchdowns or 49 touchdowns. Fuck it, I can throw 50. Oh, now the game's changing again. I can do that too. Oh, I may be old as fuck. Patrick Mahomes out there throwing for 50 touchdowns because they just throw the ball everywhere. I can do that shit too. Watch this. I'm going to win an MVP. Then I'm going to go to Tampa Bay. I'm going to do that too. I can do the same shit. I can do whatever you need me to do. I can be whatever I need to be. And that is what's so impressive. And a lot of people don't give him credit for that. But really, where is the outrage for the Peyton Manning's Colts? To have the rules changed to conform to your style. Imagine that. Imagine getting to do that. That is like you getting to handpick how everything is going to go for you. And the other teams around you have to adjust, or they're done. And that happened. That happened to the Patriots. They had to adjust. They had to move. They had to compete on the Colts side of doing things. So they had to start throwing the ball. So you get Randy Moss. Tom's got to start throwing it deep. They got to start just killing people like that. Okay. The Patriots had to adjust. Other teams had to adjust too, not just the Patriots. The Steelers had to adjust, same way. But not Peyton, not the Colts. They didn't have to because it was adjusted for them. Now, I'm just saying, imagine if that was the other way around. Imagine if that was Tom and the Patriots and they got the rules changed to conform to them and to be better, make them even better at what they already are good at. Imagine that. What would the outrage be? You know? It's funny. It's funny how these guys get a pass because they're popular or they're first rounders or, you know, everyone expected them to be great. So they get a pass, right? So, Okay, so I need to get y'all's quarterbacks real quick. Justin's going Jared Goff. Elf, do you know your quarterback? Okay, so it's going to be Jared Goff versus Brock Purdy. All right, guys. Sounds good. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make my picks. Sorry, I had a lot to talk about. I had a lot on my mind this week because of all the shit going on, the coaches change and the quarterback drama and the playoffs and everything. Yeah, so, okay. Okay, so first we've got Texans at Ravens. I like Stroud. By the way, they NBC cut out where he I think it was NBC. Yeah, they cut out where he thanked his Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That kind of tells you how things are going in this country, where they cut that out. But that like makes me like Stroud even more. I mean, I like the kid. I have nothing against him at all. He's just new, and I need to see more and all that. I don't get crazy about rookies. I need them to show me something after everybody's got a year of tape on you. It's kind of like, okay, you flash out the first year. Okay, cool. I mean, good for you. That's great. I'm not taking anything away, but I need to see it more after everybody knows about you and is onto you and paying attention to you. See, nobody really is paying attention to the Texans this year. Nobody's really spending the whole offseason to plan against C.J. Stroud, right? So, but I like what he's doing. This is the Ravens' time to get it done. If they're going to get it done, if Lamar Jackson is going to get things done, it's now, okay? I'm going with Baltimore. I think they're going to be able to play their game, and I think it's over for the Texans. I think it's impressive what they've been able to do, but I think the ride is over, and Baltimore's going to end them on that one. So the Packers at 49ers, it's a very similar sentiment. The 49ers, they have to make it happen. They're my pick to go to the Super Bowl. They're my pick to win the Super Bowl. I believe that Brock Purdy will be holding the Lombardi Trophy next month. So that's obviously, if they're my pick, then I'm obviously not going to go for the Packers here. So I think it's the 49ers' time. I think they've had so many weird things happen to them over the last few years, you know, and Brock getting hurt last year. None of that's going to happen this time. They're going to get it done. They're going to push through. Green Bay, good for them. That was so cool what they were able to pull off, but they just cannot compete with the 49ers. This is number 7 versus number 1. It's too much. It's too big of a difference. The ride is over. So Sunday, we got Buccaneers at Lions. This one I'm a little concerned about. Concerned as far as I was I've been rooting for the Lions all year long. I wanted to see them do well. I really like them. They're really fun. Of course, I'm biased. We got Amon-Ra St. Brown introing the channel, introducing the show. I'm a Jerod Goff fan. I like their coach. I like them. So, but this one worries me. This one worries me because I think the Buccaneers looked really damn good. They seem to have their shit together. It was impressive. In fact, it could have been even worse. The Bucs dropped some passes and some balls. Okay, so they did that. I know the Eagles are struggling, but they did that against an Eagles team that was just in the Super Bowl. So it's not. They didn't just beat some dirt shit team or anything. They beat a pretty good team with a good record. The Lions, I don't trust their defense. I know their offense can score. I know their offense can get things done. We've seen it. And I even trust Jerod Goff. I think Jerod he's not the player he was in 2018 that everybody makes fun of. That's gone, okay? But I think the Buccaneers can run up the score on the Lions. And if the Lions can't stop them, and if the Lions can't keep up, the Lions could potentially put up 30 points on Sunday and still lose. Okay? So that is, yeah. But I have to tell you, I still think Detroit's going to pull it out. So Buccaneers overachieved this year. Okay, they have done far more than I ever thought they would this year. And Baker Mayfield has done an admirable job. Okay, very proud of him. Happy for him. That's a cool dude. Okay, and I like it. But I just think that they've overachieved. And when you've overachieved, you kind of, when you meet a good team, you kind of run it. Things start to, become more obvious. I think the Lions are going. I think the Lions have something. The Lions are going to play in this NFC Championship game. They're going to get beat by the 49ers, but this is going to happen for them. And then after that is Chiefs Bills. Okay, so last week I picked the Chiefs over the Dolphins. Who I would want to see. Check my Patreon. Okay, I would want to see. The Dolphins had if they had beaten the Chiefs, that would have been great. I'd love to see that. But I know better. Okay, so I knew the Chiefs were going to win. It was obvious. This game's different. This is it for Buffalo. They're playing. This is all in. Okay, this is push that shit to the center of the table. I know they've got some issues, but you know what? So are the Chiefs. The Chiefs are not the Chiefs right now. They weren't even really the Chiefs against the Dolphins. If any other team other than from Miami were in that game, they probably lose. Chiefs fans are very overstating that victory. I knew the Dolphins were going to lose from the very moment we saw the weather report. It was finished. It was over. They didn't even want to be there. That's not the Bills. Bills are different. This is in Buffalo. Those fans are going to be absolutely, teetotally insane. That place, the energy there, and the Chiefs are nowhere near in good enough form at all to compete with that level, okay, of intensity there. The Bills are not a bad team. I think the regular season, they just got regular season fatigue because they know they're always going to be there. They want to win the Super Bowl, and I think they just kind of, slipped up a bit, but they are very capable, even with all the problems they're having. They are very capable of beating this Chiefs team. If they were playing last week in Kansas City, they would have won, okay? They would have won in Kansas City last week. So how in the world am I not going to pick them at home in Buffalo? So there you go. There you got it. That's it. Your AFC Championship game is going to be Ravens versus Bills. Your NFC Championship game is going to be 49ers versus Lions, and this is going to be fun. And we're all going to be happy with the Super Bowl that happens because all those matchups are very, very appealing, and they're digestible, and they're all 4 teams. You have reasons to be happy for any one of those. So you're cool with any of them, right? But what you don't want is you don't want a Chiefs. You don't want a Taylor Swift. You want the Taylor Swift thing to end now. You want it to end. It's just end it. Put that shit in the ground. So yes, Elf. The final round is TDR and yards, and the tiebreaker, of course, as always, is wins, losses, and then if it has to go to the next tiebreaker, it is completions. So. Okay. And we have a super chat. Boom. John Thomas Chavez sends a super chat on Patreon. He says, on this 9th anniversary of Deflategate, screw the Colts and screw Jim Irsay, who not only helped drag Tom's name through the mud, but also chased what was ultimately fool's gold, releasing a top 3 GOAT in Peyton Manning simply because he got hurt at 35 and not 25. Very well said. Very well said, John. Absolutely. The Colts are idiots. But that number 1 draft pick. But Andrew Luck, well, it's not even as much about Andrew Luck, honestly. The team itself got him killed, If you don't get rid of Peyton, you don't end up with the idiocy and the circus that is, Grigson and all that. And those things really don't transpire, so none of that really happens. So Andrew Luck drafted somewhere else, that didn't have that going on. Andrew, I guess what I'm saying is Andrew's not the problem. He wasn't the problem. So, but it was just stupid to think that you could just do a whole regime change like that and get rid of a guy like Peyton. It was dumb. Belichick tried the same thing. It didn't work. So, yeah. And they couldn't get over losing. They couldn't accept getting beat by the Patriots constantly, so they had to invent some bullshit, So there you go. I completely agree. Very well said, John. Very well said. Yeah, and Peyton got a ring with the team he went to, which makes it that much funnier. And the Colts have still done fuck all, as the Red Coat would say. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. Guys, thank you for your super chats. Really appreciate it. And Elf, thank you so much, man. Good luck to Justin and Elf for the finals. So it's going to be Jared Goff versus Brock Purdy. That's going to be interesting. So good luck to you guys. Elf and Courage is going for his 3rd straight, if you can believe that. So we'll see. He's trying to create a dynasty already. The dynasty we already possibly have a dynasty coming up. So let's see it. Thank you, Elf. I appreciate that, man. And Gord King. If you haven't joined, subscribe to Gord King's channel. It's really good stuff. If you like movies, things like that, join there. So. Live stream. Oh, yes. Sorry. Yes. I will be live streaming some of the games. So, let's see. The Sunday games. So, Bucs, Lions, and Chiefs, Bills. I will be streaming both of those. Okay? So, see you guys Sunday then, okay? Although you can follow me on X, way cool, wop. Okay? Follow me on X. And you can watch me bitch and complain all through the game Saturday, okay? All right, guys. Thank you so much. And see you.
On Allen Sports. Fuck you. I'm subscribing.
This is the man with the most badass name in sports. The Pharaoh, the Egyptian god himself, Amon-Ra St. Brown. And on behalf of my man Von Allen, we want to thank you for your support. Let's fucking go.
If you're not watching Von Allen Sports, fuck you.
Hey, look, here's the deal. Look, I want to buck you guys up a little bit. Did you hear what I said? I said buck you guys up. Von Allen Sports, this is Sleepy Joe, and I got to give you a shout out, man. He's a good guy, because he could kick my ass, that's why. But he's not going to do that. He's going to pick on an old man. Here's the deal, guys. I got a whole dossier on you here. You could probably never shut up about Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady. Von Allen Sports, let's go. I don't like that, man. That's too close to let's go Brandon. Let's be honest, you football guys. I know what you're doing at the game. You're all chanting, let's go Brandon, let's go Brandon. Von Allen Sports, let's go. I think you guys are great. And I think I ought to join your group. You know why? Because I'm basement butthurt, that's why. I spent the whole campaign in the basement, and I'm gonna do it again. That's how I win, you know. They locked me in the basement. So I'm basement butthurt. I'm halfway there, guys. Let's do this. Come on, man!
Von Allen Sports.